So it's currently November 1st, and I've restarted 3 times on my project. This is a voiceover from after I've done everything. I am annoyed, so I'm just gonna put footage of me playing like a video game, and then talk over it as if it's normal. Because I've been sitting here writing down a rough draft for everything, and I'm so sick and tired of this. It's my 4th thing I've done. I've put it off for way too long, and it is almost past the due date. I need to get this done. So here's pre-recorded footage of a video game not even related to anything, with pictures of the sharks, and me talking about said sharks. For the continental shelf, we have the oceanic whitetip, average temperatures being between 20 and 28 degrees Celsius, with low turbidity, lots of sunlight, and abundant nutrients. Some of the animals that live in there would be algae, providing plankton food, plankton providing food for lots of aquatic organisms, fish being food for most sharks, tuna, one of the oceanic whitetip's more specific foods, kelp making dissolved oxygen. The ways they are tracked are usually being caught with fish nets, having trackers planted, and possibly dissected. Fish nets, plastic, are things that can damage their places, and there have been plastic disposal laws and overfishing bans that have been put in place to stop it. For the continental slope, we have the great white shark, average temperatures being between 12 and 24 degrees Celsius, with low turbidity, some sunlight, and abundant nutrients. Animals that live in the area would be algae, providing food for plankton and other organisms. Plankton eating the algae to get nutrients so other organisms can eat it. Minnows eating plankton to get nutrients so fish can eat so the great white can feast. Crabs eating small fish and dead animals. Coral making dissolved oxygen. Usually they'd be dissected and having trackers planted to study their habits and what their insides are like. There's fish nets and plastic, which damages their habitat. There's laws being put in place to stop plastic from ending up in the oceans, and there are fishing laws to stop fish from being caught way too much. The continental rise contains the tiger shark, preferring relatively warm waters and prefers turbid areas. Animals living in there, like all the last times, will be algae, providing plankton food, plankton eating algae so other organisms can eat the plankton for the nutrients, seaweed making dissolved oxygen, fish providing food for the shark, a great white providing competition and giving a chance for tiger sharks to be killed by other sharks. They are dissected and they have trackers planted on them when caught. Fish nets and plastic destroy their habitats like everywhere else in the world because it sinks down. And there are disposal laws like all the other times. And there's fishing laws and overfishing bans. In the abyssal plain, we have the cookie cutter shark, preferring deep water, warm temperatures, and living near islands. Worms will live in their areas, presumably acting as a parasite. I couldn't find much on the worms. Mollusks being a source of food, and it has pearls and sea silk, which people harvest and make a bunch of money off of, I guess. Seaweed making dissolved oxygen. Fish, which is a food source for the shark. Sea stars just being there, they are practically useless, I guess. They are dissected, and they have trackers planted, and fish nets, plastic, will get into the abyssal plain and damage the habitats. And there are plastic disposal laws being put in place, fishing laws, and overfishing bans. In the oceanic ridge, we have the blue shark, preferring temperatures between 10 and 20 degrees Celsius, not as much turbidity in the waters. And some of the fish that live in there would be the cuttlefish, providing food for the blue shark, algae, like all other times, providing food for plankton, seaweed making dissolved oxygen, starfish, just being there, like last time, they're useless, plankton providing food for the fish, They're usually dissected and have trackers planted, like all the other times. Fish nets and plastic will get into their areas and cause problems. Plastic disposal laws being put in place, fishing laws and overfishing bans have also been put in place. In the oceanic trench, we have goblin sharks, preferring warm climates and deep waters. They will eat dragon fishes, which is a deep sea fish that goblin sharks feed off of. Crustaceans, small aquatic animals, they'll have isopods, which is a parasite, also a crustacean, seaweed, making dissolved oxygen, and algae, which is the baseline for food. They aren't usually caught, and it's mostly just accidental catches from fish nets. They're not common, and they are relatively, not studied. They're not studied much. Fish nets and plastic will get into the oceanic trench, causing issues. Plastic disposal laws have been put in place, and there's overfishing bans.